my heart rate starts going above 115, 120, 125, 130, 135, close to 140. And of course, I'm freaked out. What is going on, my YouTube familia? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back into another video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about my experience with Paxlovid. I think that's what it's pronounced, Paxlovid. So, which is a new medication for COVID and people who are dealing with COVID symptoms, right? So if you tested positive for COVID, now there's a new option, which is this medication. And we're going to talk about my experience with it. And let me tell you guys, it was not the most pleasant experience. If anything, it's one of the worst experiences that I had with COVID in the last 3 times that I've gotten it. I've gotten it a total of 3 times, and this time around was my worst. And partly, I believe it had to do with this. Now, stick around so you can hear the whole experience and how everything went down with Paxlovid. And forgive me, I'm pronouncing that wrong because it sounds like it's Paxlovid. So without further ado, let's get right into my experience. So I caught COVID about 2 weeks ago, and I was feeling, like my throat was kind of irritated, and typically that's how I get when I get COVID. The first time, that's how it started. The second time, that's how it was. And this time around was about the same. I was hoping it was not the case, but eventually it was the case. I ended up getting tested. I went to urgent care, got tested, and I was tested for COVID. Well, while I was there, the nurse practitioner told me that there was a new option for COVID. And if I did have COVID, after I got the results, she told me if I wanted to get that prescribed. Well, typically, if you're like a healthy person, you wouldn't even need something like along those lines. But she told me that if you suffer from like chronic illnesses or people who are older, and also people who are not in the hospital for COVID yet, like people who go home from having COVID and just, try to stay quarantined so you can recover from it. Those are the people that it's most beneficial for. And I was like, all right, well, when I got home, probably like an hour or two later, she called me. She said I was tested positive for COVID. And she asked me if I wanted to get that prescribed. And I was like, well, yeah, let's do that. Because when I get COVID, I know that I have issues with the fever that I get and my heart racing a lot, right? And that it's a really, really sucky feeling. So as many of you guys know, if you've been on my channel for a while, my heart raises a lot with, almost anything, unfortunately, even though my heart is healthy and I've, checked it thoroughly. Well, because of my issues of my gastro surgeries and the hiatal hernia repairs that I had and all the trauma that I've suffered in my chest, that triggers my heart rate. And something like this obviously triggers it a lot because naturally your heart your body is working harder to fight off the virus. So around 2 p.m. that day, I decided to take the medication. So I'm gonna open this for you guys so you guys can see what it looks like, and you guys can get a little close up. There's 3 pills that you take, right? So one is, as you can see, this package is more of like a gold color. You take that, you're supposed to take that in the morning. Well, it was already 2 p.m., but I decided to take the morning one. And then later on in the night, probably like 8 to 12 hours later, I was going to take the night one, right? So I took that with food because I can't take pills without food, or else a lot of the times they get stuck in my throat. And, the discomfort is not the only worst part about medication or pills stuck in my throat. Also, when the medication starts dissolving, all the chemicals, can burn my throat and it hurts. I mean, it just feels really, really, really bad. And I hate going through that. So, and that of course makes my acid worse, which is what I'm leading into right now. So I took the medication, I took the 3 tablets, and I think one of them, so there's 2 tablets, right? One of them is named Nirmatrelvir. I botched that 100%. And there's 2 of those, right? For 150 milligrams each. And then the other one is ritonavir, ritonavir, which is 100 milligrams. And one of these, I think the ritonavir is used on patients who have, I think HIV or something along those lines is what I read. I don't even remember very well anymore. Well, let's put that aside. Well, I took that medication, and when a couple hours passed, I started feeling my acid becoming even worse, and I was like, okay, that's not right. So I took that medication and I took Tylenol with it because I asked the doctor if it was okay for me to take Tylenol because I need to take Tylenol when I have fevers because it increases. If I don't, my heart rate goes crazy, and I really, really don't like that feeling. Right? You're feeling like you're about to die. Well, unfortunately, this medication made things worse for me and my gastro issues. It's a very, very strong medication, right? And unfortunately, I am more sensitive to strong medication because of my GERD issues. And this time around, it was not different. So the medication started making my acid reflux really, really bad. Now, prior to taking the medication, I read that you'll probably have a metallic taste in your mouth, which I was like, I'm cool. That's a price to pay if I don't have those COVID symptoms or COVID goes away faster. Which I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I didn't know how bad, first of all, the metallic taste was, and second of all, how long it lasted, and third of all, how bad my acid reflux was going to be. So around 7 p.m., my heart rate is still pretty high, and I'm like, man, is like it's the Tylenol not working for the fever. Is like my heart rate still pretty high. To give you guys an example, uh, it was around 105 to 110. Now you might not think that's too high, which is it's cool, right? But typically after I take Tylenol, it doesn't linger around that, after over 100, right? So it usually goes back down, but in this time around, it didn't. So I'm like, could it be the medication? Well, remember that this medication, you only take it every 12 hours. So, typically that means that the effects will probably last from about 8 to 12 hours. So in order for me to feel like the medication or my stomach had, passed it, um, it would have been 8 to 12 hours. And I'm like, man, it's 7 p.m. I'm eating dinner, and I have that's 5 hours from there. So I have like almost like 7 hours to go for the 12 hours to complete of the medication. So, and just remembering all that just makes me anxious, to be honest. So I end up eating dinner, and around 8, 9 p.m., my heart rate starts going above 115, 120, 125, 130, 135, close to 140. And of course, I'm freaked out. I try to relax, I try to stretch, especially my diaphragmatic area, all that area, so I can just kind of release some tension from my chest and my heart can kind of just sit well and, not have that tension or that pressure. But nothing was working, man. And, after 7, it was 8, 9, 10 p.m. And I'm just like, it's not going down. If anything, it's going higher. And I can feel the acid in my throat killing me. I can smell the metallic taste. Like I'm not just tasting it, I'm smelling it. So I feel like I'm breathing in back the smell of the medication. So not only am I tasting it, not only is it bothering me, not only is it creating my acid to be the worst it's ever been, but when I'm breathing in, I feel like I'm breathing back the medication because I literally feel like it's right here. So right, and if this is open, then the gases naturally come back to you. And I'm sorry, I'm not even close to the mic, but the gases naturally don't come back to you, and I'm smelling it back, and I'm just like, dude, this is one of the worst things that could have happened to me. So my heart rate is crazy. And finally I give in, and I'm like, I'm just gonna call the ambulance. I'm gonna call 911. I'm gonna check with um with I called them to see if I needed to go to the hospital, because at this point I'm scared, man. My heart's close to 140. um I'm not sure it's because it's the medication. I'm not sure if because COVID is bad. Uh, I'm lost, and I've given it time. I've given it a couple hours, and I'm just like, it's never been this bad. So what is going on? So I call them. They check. They do an um, EKG, right? They put some leads on me to see if my heart rhythm was okay. I explained to them what was going on. I mean, they didn't even, know exactly, had experience with like Paxlovid in patients like that, but just because it's new, right? It's very new. So I explained them the whole situation. And man, having to explain something that you went through while you're still going through it, that's a difficult task to do because you're thinking about, holy crap, I'm dying, and then on the other side you're trying to explain to them and try to make sure that you're explaining things right so they can get a better understanding of what's going on. So I'm outside, my mom is outside, and I tell them what's going on, and they're like, look, I mean, your heart rate right now, my blood pressure, first of all, was like 148 over 100, which I feel like it's kind of natural when your heart's going through something, right? Your body's going through something like that. And he didn't seem too concerned of it. My heart rate when I went outside went back down to 125. It was fluctuating 120, 125, 130. And the paramedics were like, one of them was like, look, I can take you to the hospital, but if you go by yourself, it's gonna be the same process as if you go with us. So why don't you just have somebody take you? And I thought about that, and I was like, because they were like, if I take you, it's gonna be $1,500, or I think it's like 25. I don't even remember how much it was, but it was a couple $1,000 when you can just go by yourself, and they're probably gonna do the same thing. Like, we're not gonna do anything in the ambulance that that would make a difference while you get there. And I was like, all right, well, and he was like, if we don't take you, then this visit is free. Like, we're not gonna charge you for anything. And I'm like, okay, cool. First of all, sometimes I'm not even worried about the price when you're going through that issue, because if you feel like you're dying, you're willing to spend all the money in the world. There's perspective to that. And I'm just like, all right, well, I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to go home. I'm going to tell my mom to take me. But while I was outside, I was, it was pretty cold. And I was just outside just thinking about life, man, like how messed up I really am at that moment. Like nothing else mattered. And it was really, really bad. And eventually I stayed outside with my mom for like an hour. And remember, it was cold, and I knew that the Tylenol was about to wear out. So my fever was about to come out, again soon. So it was around 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. So now almost 12 hours have passed since I had taken the medication. And I went back to my room, and eventually my heart started going down to like 115, 110, 105, 100. But then the fever started coming back because of because of the virus. So eventually that worked out. That worked itself out. And the next day I didn't have, any issues with my heart going, at 130, 135, anything like that. It was way, way less. It was, I feel like it was at the ranges that it usually was when I didn't take the medication. So I give you and share all that story not to scare you guys, or to make you afraid of taking the medication. It's just with me, it was not the right move because of how strong the medication is. So if you're suffering from GERD issues or gastro issues and your body is more sensitive to strong medication, um, then it might not be the best idea. You might have to consider that yourself. Obviously, take precaution, talk to your doctor. I'm not trying to give you any medical advice, but I am sharing my experience with somebody who suffered from GERD issues, who's had surgeries, right? The Nissen fundoplication and the links for GERD issues. And it was a really terrible experience. To be honest, it's going to take me some time to get over what I went through that day, because even though my heart rate, was like a 140, and it doesn't seem nothing crazy, right? But you know what it is? It's the constant of you being sick all the time. And then there is a product out there that could technically help you and make you feel better, right? Um, but you can't even take that. You can't even take that because that thing that's supposed to make you feel better, in this case, the Paxlovid, messes you up even more. And it's just like this loss of hope that you get in your body, and you're like, dude, when things hit you hard, even the solution is a struggle for you. And I'm just like, bro, I'm really messed up. I just came to terms and I'm just like, dude, this was really, really bad. My mental was really hit. I mean, I'm talking about it was shot, man. I've been 2 weeks 2 weeks almost since that experience, and I- it's very hard on your mental. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not a weak person. If anything, my health issues made me very strong mentally, but this time around it really messed me up. It really got to me, and I have to keep going. I know that, but it's just like it put things to perspective on like even things that are supposed to help you mess you up as much. The struggle of it every day, even getting COVID, every time that I get it, it's a bad experience. It's never pleasant. So things like that just put a lot of anxiety in you, a lot of fears, a lot of uncertainties, and it's tough. It's very, very tough. Again, it's gonna take me some time to just get over that and get my strength back again. But it is what it is. God has a plan for all of us, and I have to keep pushing. I have to keep pushing for myself, my family, for you guys. People who are watching. It's part of the journey, and I'm gonna go down swinging, man. Because if anything takes me out, I'm going down swinging. At least I know that I've tried, and that I continue to try, and I never gave up, and I can be happy when that moment comes. You know what I mean? I know it sounds like very deep, and it's like some of you guys might think, ah, dude, it's not that serious, but it is that serious for me, right? For me it is because of how long I've suffered from this, and when I thought something could help me with symptoms, it actually messed me up more. But for somebody who doesn't suffer the same things that I do, maybe it does help you. And I hope that it does, right? I'm never gonna be selfish and be like, nah, don't do it. No, 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 no. You talk to your doctor and see what's best for you. And hopefully it helps you, because that is a great feeling, and that must be a huge blessing to have, and to know that something else can help you. I mean, and this is not the only medication that has not helped me. When I try to take medication for anxiety, my stomach didn't take that very well. It was too strong as well. It gave me too much acid. I wasn't able to sleep at all. And it's just that bad for me, unfortunately. So this video was made so I can share my experience with you guys. I'm gonna continue to always gonna continue to update you guys with my health journey and things that I've go through. That's never gonna change, right? But of course, the podcast is something new that I really enjoy. I feel like there's a purpose behind it, and hopefully, some of you guys that are watching that are actually loving it. And I'm gonna continue to grind that out as well, right? So this whole YouTube content, it's I'm loving it, and I just hope that if you guys are going through anything out there, man, stay strong. It's not easy. And right now, I'm kind of speaking from a place of, just taking it day by day, because sometimes it's all you can do. And it was a really tough experience. It has been tough getting out of it. I was supposed to make this video last week, but I just didn't really feel like I had the strength to, man. Like I didn't feel like it's just one of those times, one of those time frames where you're just like, dude, what the hell? What's up, man? It's really bad. So I don't want to keep taking your time, man. I appreciate you guys watching and listening to this video. And let me know what your experience was like if you've gone through with Paxlovid, right? Like I want to know what you've been through. I want to know if you've suffered from some similar issues as I am, and maybe you didn't have those issues. Like the more people know, the better, and you can help somebody else. You can help me. You can help somebody else. So you can lessen their anxiety, their worries, their fears, and you can be a blessing by sharing your experience with people. So again, it's not the medication that I'm saying that it's not helping me. It's just I think my gastro issues are just too bad, and just too sensitive for me to take medications like that. So it's unfortunate, but we're gonna try to keep fighting and figure out ways to prevent certain things and be better. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you guys for everybody who subscribed to my channel. Thank you guys for everyone who's commented and keeps on just posting comments or anything. If you have any questions, concerns, don't forget on the comment section, all right there, and I'll get back to you whenever I have some time. So don't forget to also turn on the notifications, so whenever I go live or post any videos, you won't miss them. As always, familia, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Peace and love, baby. Even that took some energy to talk about it. All right.